to our show that is called Real Shame, where we watch movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
Earlier in the week, we watched a movie that I haven't seen called Blues Brothers, which is about two guys that are trying to get the band back together, dressed really cool in their suit jackets and their dark shades. And Andy decided to pair that with yet another movie that I haven't seen, and maybe one that not a lot of people haven't seen. But it's on the Criterion Channel, guys, if you want to check it out. And that movie is going to be
Leningrad Cowboys Go America from 1989. So the Leningrad Cowboys live on the frozen tundra, along with their manager, Vladimir. Vladimir cooks up an idea to travel with the band to America to try and see if the American people, who will buy anything, will embrace their distinctive style of music in Leningrad Cowboys Go America.
Do you know Mexico?
Sure.
Go there. My cousin's getting married. Needs a band for his wedding. Here's the address.
Could you pay something now?
Sure. Here's a dime. You can sleep here one night.
Thank you.
Your music will go over big down there. Here we have something different. It's called rock and roll.
So this is a movie that I have seen before because it is part of the Criterion. I don't know if they're still doing it because they haven't done a release in a while, but they have a series called the Eclipse series, and they're DVD only. They don't have them on Blu-ray, but this was there was like a package of the guy's name that directed the movie and wrote the screenplay. He is from Finland. His name is Aki Kaurismäki. I hope I said that correctly. But they do a Eclipse DVD set of the 3 Leningrad Cowboys films. Now, there's 2 of them that are film where there's kind of a story, Leningrad Cowboys Go America, and the sequel, Leningrad Cowboys Meet Moses, and then a concert film called The Total Balalaika Show. A balalaika is a Russian instrument, most of the time used with folk music, but it looks like a little, not like a ukulele, but it's got like a triangular shape, and yeah, you strum it. Anyways, those are all 3 packaged on the Eclipse series. So I've watched Leningrad Cowboys Go America before. I never have watched the sequel, Leningrad Cowboys Meet Moses. I don't think it's the literal Moses. I think one of their band members gets saved and starts calling himself Moses or something like that. I did watch the Total Balalaika Show, the concert film, which I thought was pretty cool. But this is a movie that you've never seen. I chose it because I wanted to do another kind of musical film. And I just kind of wanted to shine a spotlight on this film. This is a film that I think has been largely forgotten, but again, it's important enough that the people at Criterion decided they wanted to put it along with its sequel and concert film out. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do. I'm assuming you had no clue who the Leningrad Cowboys were. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, or maybe you had.
I had a vague recollection of a T-shirt of the Leningrad Cowboys Go America.
Okay.
I don't know if that's an accurate memory, but I just have that.
Might be.
So the name was familiar, but I did not know much about this movie at all going into it.
Yeah. All right, so it's pretty short. It's an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. So you dived in, and what were some of your thoughts?
I love this movie. This movie's so cool.
Awesome.
This movie has a bunch of things. I think on paper, I probably wouldn't. I think if you list out what this movie did on paper, you'd probably be like, Adam wouldn't have been a fan of that movie.
I don't think I would have been a fan of it either.
Because it just doesn't have like a really strong story, and it's just kind of aimless and not a lot of dialogue. But I think it's so well shot. Like it's so interesting. Like the direction and everything on it. The characters are, even though they're not like fully fleshed out, they're just so peculiar and interesting and fun to look at with their, their pompadours that come out to a point,
Yeah.
their spiky shoes, and all that kind of stuff.
Winkle Picker is the name of that style of shoe. Winkle Picker. I love that name. Winkle Picker.
It's just so the music they play is like, it's a pastiche of all different kind of genres, but every time they played, I dug all of it. Like I dug the folk music they played at the beginning. I think it was BCBGs or BGBCs or whatever.
CBGBs.
CBGBs, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know where I was going with that. I was gonna say maybe I'm dyslexic because I get those words backwards.
The other styles of music that they play.
Yeah. So they played there. That they play like they also used to play more Mexican influenced music when they're down, when they finally make it down to Mexico.
Yeah.
They play country western music, I believe, when they're, don't they? Yeah, they do. So all that stuff is just really cool and really interesting. I like that the bassist gets frozen because he's out playing, and he's just like in this coffin with like that has two holes in it, one for like the neck and the headstock of his bass, the other one for the rest of his pompadour. Like,
well, his shoes are sticking out too.
His shoes. Yeah. It's just so evocative. It's so bizarre and peculiar, but it's so cool. And like you can tell, like they probably saw Blues Brothers a little bit, because I think there's some of that DNA in there, like where they get the car and all that kind of stuff. But even like I like the black car, the Lincoln, better than the white car they get and stuff like that, because I like they had to put everything on top. And
and who sold them the car?
I don't.
Jim Jarmusch.
Was it Jim Jarmusch who sold the car? Cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it just was so, like you said, it was lightning fast.
Yeah.
It was just so cool. Like, it's just like it was so interesting and so, I don't know. I like I said, I'm at a cognitive dissonance a little bit, because I'm like, I normally wouldn't like these kind of movies, but I really, really like this movie so much so that I was actually looking up after I watched it, like where I can purchase it on Blu-ray and stuff, because I would like to have the whole trilogy, and I'd like to jump back into it because I really enjoyed my time with Leningrad Cowboys Go America.
I am overjoyed that you liked it. I like it too. I had no idea how you would react to it, honestly, because it's different. I mean, but like I could not agree with you more as far as if you describe this movie on paper, it just doesn't sound like much of a movie. Yeah. But it is. I mean, and yeah, you're right. Not a whole lot happens necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not super exciting. It is just kind of they're making a road trip through America. Yeah. It starts off. They're back in presumably they're in Siberia or something. They're on the frozen tundra, and they're Leningrad Cowboys. So they're supposed to be Russian, although the film was made, by a Finnish crew. And
a Finnish man.
And a Finnish guy. And a Finnish man. But anyway, when it starts off and you're kind of like, where's this going? And because they're just kind of sitting there. But once they get to America, I think things really start to cook. And it is really awesome, like you said, the way that it's shot, because they actually did make a road trip as they shot the movie. And they go through Houston, and they go through San Antonio, and they go down to, I think they went close to Mexico. I'm not sure they actually went to Mexico. But in the movie, it's supposed to be Mexico that they wind up. They go to Tennessee and all those places, and along the way you see America. I mean, you see these old buildings and these old dive bars and these old little clubs that they go to and that they play. Those were all real places that they just shot at. They went and talked to the owner or whatever and said, hey, we're going to shoot this movie. You can tell the guys aren't actors. They some of their line delivery's kind of stiff and still the guy that plays their manager was an actual pretty well-known actor in Finland. So he's also hilarious.
Is it Gary Oldman? Because he looks a lot like Gary Oldman.
Well, I think he's just really funny. And like you said, they all have such a distinctive look with their pompadour hairstyle, with their winkle picker shoes. They're all also kind of, quiet and deadpan, and they say little funny things every now and then. They've got their biggest fan, Igor, I think it is. Yeah, Igor. That's
he wants their hairstyle.
Yeah,
like, he's like the bushes. He's like
he wants. He's
like,
cute,
no.
So he's like, give me a hairstyle like them. He has to point. He can't say anything.
He's at the shoe store. He just like holds up the shoe. Yeah, just hands to the guy, and just leaves.
Yeah.
The part with the fish was really weird.
Yeah,
like
he's
it's funny.
A fish. It's like
they leave and he just like drops it, and then he just like picks it up.
He wants nothing more than to be in their band, but they just don't want him around. But yeah, like you said, I think the musical numbers are fantastic, and,
Yeah.
and they're just so enjoyable. All the different styles that they play. They do a cover of Born to Be Wild,
Yep.
which I think is cool. Once they find their lost cousin
Yeah.
at the gas station, they find a guy who he says he drifted all the way down to the Gulf there because they meet him in Texas. He is played by a guy named Nicky Tesco, who was a member of a British punk band called The Members, which I'm not familiar with, but that guy's pretty good. You know, he sings a rousing version of Born to Be Wild. But yeah, it's a cool movie. It's a quick movie. I think you get a lot of really kind of gorgeous scenery as they're driving down the road. And there's stuff shot at dusk, so during the magic hour, and there's just the manager's funny. He keeps the coffin that houses their little frozen bandmate. Also, is where he keeps his Budweiser.
Yeah.
So he's drinking tons of beer, but he's fun. I love him going into the bars and. Well, first of all, they learn rock and roll because they're told that rock and roll, is popular there, and so he's like, study this book, and so they all learn how to play rock and roll by studying that book. But he goes into a bar and he says, "We are rock and roll band. Can we play here?" And the guy's just like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, 50-50? Okay, sure. He's just.
They play one
I
song.
love his kind of demeanor.
Yeah.
He's just a funny guy. But yeah, this is a fun movie. Even if you watch it and you don't like it, it's an hour and 20 minutes, so it's short. It's not going to take up too much of your time. I think we both urge you to seek this movie out if you're a fan of music in general. It's a fun movie. So I'm really glad you liked it.
I was going to say two things. One is a couple Halloweens ago, we dressed up as musicians for a Halloween party we went to. And I would... If we ever have to do that again, I think
you're gonna be the Leningrad Cowboys.
I think it has to be the way to go. I think it's so cool.
I'm down. Yeah.
The other thing is, I texted you after watching this. I really like this movie a whole lot. I would like to see this played like in a Borat kind of style, where the people are unsuspecting and real reactions, but you have like this fictitious band go on that could be really bad or could be really awesome. Like, it'd be cool to see it like in that context where they come on and they messed up or it sounds really bad, but then they end up winning the audience over and stuff like that and start building like a following from that. Like, I think like I really, really, really like this movie, and I would love to see something akin to that also, just in that kind of vein. Because I think it would play, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Borat movies, I think it would play really well and be really awesome to see.
Yeah, that sounds cool to me.
So,
I didn't mention when we talked about the Blues Brothers, but of course the Blues Brothers sort of came about, from guys at SNL and from John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and other guys that they knew, kind of talking about like, they were fans of the blues, or they started getting. I know John Belushi in particular kind of got introduced to the blues and just dove in full force. He was really, really into that. So they decided to come up with these Blues Brothers, and then they performed on SNL. They recorded albums, they recorded live albums, and then of course John Belushi passed away, but the Blues Brothers still occasionally will tour or will do certain charity shows or concerts at House of Blues and whatnot. Sometimes they're joined, we were looking beforehand, by Jim Belushi, who he doesn't play Jake. He plays a different brother or different blues guy, Z-E-E. But I think John Goodman has joined them at some, because he's in Blues Brothers 2000. I don't think Joe Morton has ever joined them when they toured or whatnot. But they've continued to go on, kind of like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
They've continued to kind of make this jokey kind of comedic thing an actual real band. And Leningrad Cowboys is the same way. Leningrad Cowboys was created by Aki Kaurismäki, the guy who directed it. He and some other guys were part of some kind of comedy troupe, the Sleepy Sleepers, I think is what it's called. They were part of a comedy kind of, it was also kind of a band, kind of a jokey kind of thing. And they came up with this idea to do these Leningrad Cowboys. The band at first was fake, but now it's a real band, and they do real shows. Obviously, members come and go, and they kind of rotate people, and it's probably none of the same people are in it that are in this movie, but they continue to do shows. They did the Total Balalaika show. Of course, that was back in the 90s, but they've done plenty of other concerts. So you can look them up, as Adam did, on YouTube and kind of see their talents in action. I know they do Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, that's in the Total Balalaika show. So yeah, it's just really cool. They do a great version of Finlandia, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. It's 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Of course, it only has 5 reviews, but still, it's good.
7 reviews.
That's right. It's got 7. It's still 100% too.
100%, guys.
85% audience score. I did not find any kind of Siskel and Ebert review of this, but Leonard Maltin gave it 3 stars. He liked it.
Yeah. No, I think I'm really glad we uncovered this. Like it just sparked my imagination so much. There's so many like things I want to nerd out over about this movie, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the sequels. I heard that Leningrad Cowboys Meet Moses doesn't have that high of an IMDb score. I think this one's around 7, and that one's around 5.
Okay,
but I'm still looking forward to that. And then the fact that you like the total Biolika show sounds awesome, and cool. I like that stuff. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just it's cool to see movies like this that really are, you know, hidden hidden gems. And the movie itself, because it was shot on film, you know, this was back before people were shooting things digitally back in the 80s. So it looks great. I mean, it just looks really, really gorgeous. The vistas and whatnot as they kind of go on their road trip. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool movie.
I think it's really awesome. All right, so it's Wednesday, and we always do viewer questions on our Wednesday thing. And we're picking one that is similar to the movie we talked about earlier in the week. Blues Brothers takes place mostly around or in the city of Chicago. So we figured, what are our favorite Chicago-based movies? There's a lot. Chicago's a big metropolitan city. So there's a lot of movies based there. I will say any of the Chris Nolan Batman movies don't count because that's
Gotham City, although
shot in Chicago, but it's Gotham, guys. It's not Chicago.
Well, actually, when we were talking about this question, I thought of Batman Begins in particular, but yeah.
Well, I will also say, and I think this is correct, that Metropolis was always supposed to be based on Chicago, and Gotham City is supposed to be based on New York.
Okay.
Gotham being dark and New York and all that kind of stuff. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, those people that are comic book fans, but I think in DC Comics, that's what they're supposed to be. Although those cities do exist inside of DC Comics, like New York and Chicago do exist, but I think Metropolis is supposed to be, you know, basically a version of Chicago, if I remember correctly. Okay. So that's out, guys. We're not using I'm not including those. I'm saying that's a foul play right there. So are you do you have a list going on, or do you just?
I mean, I'm just kind of looking at it. I did want to mention, because you brought this up, and I'm glad you did. You brought this up as we were talking about it. Also, we just did the movie on the show, but it's The Sting. It's a Chicago film,
it is.
And we were both favorable on that film. You weren't a fan of the Norman Rockwell kind of,
or the Entertainer,
stuff, or the Entertainer stuff of it, but we both really love con movies and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a Chicago film.
And I saw like A League of Their Own was based there and all that kind of stuff, which is I mean it moves around a whole lot. I don't know if what are they called, the Rockford Peaches? I don't know if that's a town or place in Chicago and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think Wayne's World takes place in Chicago, around Aurora, Illinois, right, which is a suburb. I would consider Schaumburg and Aurora all Chicago. They're all around the Chicagoland area. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But for me, the standout has got to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, it's hard. It's you know, all the John Hughes movies take place around in the Chicago area and stuff like that. Yeah. But I mean, for that one, you just get such a cool view of it. You know, you jump around a whole lot. You get to go to the museum. You get to see that parade down. What's the name of the street? I can't even think of the street right now. Whatever, you get to see the parade and all that kind of stuff, so you just get such a view of Chicago, and it's such a fun movie that, you know, that's probably my pick, hands down.
Before I get to mine, I'll just point out Candyman, which we also did on the show. That's again, I think we both like the movie. I don't like it as much as I did in the past, but I still like that film overall. And it's, of course, you know, they go after Candyman in a crappy looking apartment, so I don't know. I don't know if you want to visit that apartment where Candyman is at.
Maybe the new Candyman's gonna be your favorite Chicago movie.
Yeah, maybe. And then another movie that I almost kind of thought about pairing with Midnight Run was The Hunter with Steve McQueen. Although that movie is listed on this list as a Chicago movie, I think most of it does not take place in Chicago, because he's kind of going around the country. He's a bounty hunter. He's going around capturing people. But the end of the movie is what makes that movie famous, because it does take place in Chicago. And there's those corncob buildings Marina City complex is what it is in Chicago, but they're very distinctive looking.
I had a coworker that lived there, and I went there once.
Yeah, I've never actually been there, but those buildings are so awesome looking to me, and they drive a car out of the parking garage into the Chicago River down below, and that's the thing that makes that movie. That movie's not very good, sadly, because it's Steve McQueen's last film, but that stunt is really cool.
Yeah.
And they recreated that for a commercial a few years back. So I thought I would bring that up, but I got to go with you. I mean, the first film that I think of when I think of Chicago, as you mentioned, John Hughes sets all his stuff in Chicago, but there can be only one clear winner, and that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Sure. That's the best to me, or probably the most iconic Chicago movie that I can think of. It's just cool, like you said, they go all over the place in Chicago in that film. And when I was in Chicago a few years ago, I think the whole time we were nerdily quoting Ferris Bueller while we were there.
That's what you got to do.
You got to. And I'm sure everybody's looking at us like, you're only the umpteenth person to do that, so why don't you shut up? But we just had fun going to all the different places. And we went to Wrigley Field. We saw baseball game and everything else. So
that's sadly the one thing.
We went to the museum as well.
Sadly, the one thing I have not got to do in Chicago was go to Wrigley Field, which I would like to do.
You got to go.
That's
where the Blues Brothers live.
I'd like to go to both.
That's their address.
That's where Elwood says his address is. I like to go to both stadiums. I mean, I know like the Chicago, there's some not animosity, but there's some tension there between the Cubbies and the White Sox.
Yeah.
But I would like to go to both stadiums. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So for me, I think you can't go wrong with Ferris Bueller.
No.
It might be the basic answer of this thing, the most, but hey, know what that means? That means it's your turn to tell us. What movies are we missing that are Chicago based that we should have ranked higher than Ferris Bueller? Let us know down below if you're watching us YouTube, or shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. Anything else you want to add? All right, guys. And so let us know all that kind of stuff. Watch Leningrad Cowboys Go America. It's streaming on Criterion. If not, you purchase the DVDs from Eclipse. They're still on Amazon. It looks like the Blu-rays are finished that I'm probably going to be purchasing. But hey, cool. I really want to. I really is not a big fan of this movie. And stay tuned. Like, subscribe, share the show, do all that kind of stuff because that really helps, and we really appreciate that. And stay tuned next week as we watch some movies from Andy's List of Shame. And we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.